நீங்கள் பார்த்து கொண்டிருப்பது உங்கள் RSKV யூடியூப் சேனல்.
Paper 1, Precise and Drafting. The question from 2009 question. This has 5 questions. The first question is in which a paragraph is given which has to be precised and drafted. The first question, make a precise of the following passage in 1/3 of its length. Also, give it a suitable title. The passage is, culture is not mere learning, it is discrimination, understanding of life. Liberal education aims at producing moral gifts as well as intellectual sweetness of temper as much as sanity of outlook. Into the art of living, the cultured man carries a certain grace, a certain refinement, a certain distinction which redeems him from the sterile futility of an aimless struggle. Culture is not a pose of intellect or a code of convention, but an attitude of life, an education that brings up a young man in entire indifference to the misery and poverty surrounding him, to the general stringency of life, to the dumb pangs of tortured bodies and the lives submerged in the shadows, is essentially a failure. If we do not realize the solidarity of the human community, nor have human relations with those whom the world passes by as the lowly and the lost, we are not culture. The most deprived individual has his starting interest, and the worst criminal is unique to his thumbprints as he knows to his cost. Great literature shames us out of our complacency and reveals to us something of the immense capacity of the human should do for suffering and isolation. We may suffer, we may forget it, but we have succeeded in the true sense of the term if we refuse to be vulgar, mean, or squalid. If anything justifies life, it is nobility, greatness. Man notices our failings, but God sees our strivings. In our country today, we are suffering from want of understanding. Whether it is between the Indian and the British or the Hindu and the Muslim, we are up against the same difficulty. Even when we seem to understand each other, we suddenly reach a point where it becomes clear that we do not have a sufficient grasp of each other's meaning. The trouble is not so much with regard to high philosophy and art as with practical affairs and political motives. Understanding of human relations and motives is not a matter of scientific method which can be taught in a university. It is a contagion of the spirit, not analyzable or demonstrable, and yet it is not incommunicable. A good deal in this matter depends on the teachers and their outlook on life as distinct from their intellectual equipment. The unique experience of pursuing common ideals within the walls of the university, in spite of differences of temperament and creed, as consequences of wider import. The many pleasant friendships, many personal contacts, must not merely be vivid recollections, but must remain with us to the end of our lives. It rests with you to pledge yourselves to one another that, when misunderstanding and disputes arise, you will be among those who will counsel patience and restraint, and proclaim that reason, fair play, and listening to both sides are the solvents of all differences. The drafting, the answer is, the topic given to the draft is, the answer is, role of culture and education in our lives. The answer is as follows. After this topic, title which is given, The aim of life is to be cultured and educated to make us understand the feelings of others. Culture is not a pose of intellect or a code of convention, but an attitude of life. This is achieved by an education which produces morality, sweetness of temper, and a sane outlook. Education is a total failure if it brings up men entirely indifferent to the misery and poverty surrounding them. A cultured man realizes the solidarity of the human community and refuses vulgarity. Our country suffers today because of a lack of understanding and communication between our people in everyday affairs. This need not necessarily be taught in universities. Teachers and their outlook affect our understanding along with the experience of following common ideals in spite of differences of temper and creed. In a university, lifelong friendships and personal contacts are formed. Culture and education ensures that we handle disputes with patience, solve differences with reason and fair play. This is the draft which is given as answer. This can be written as 2 paragraphs. Now, the second question. You are posted with DCIT headquarters of CCIT Mumbai. The government has brought some austerity measures. These austerity measures include flying in the economic class, cutting back 10% of the expenditure under the head office expenditure, limit of fuel on the government vehicles and others. As you are in the middle of financial year, the budget already sanctioned has to be accordingly reduced. Please draft a letter on behalf of the DCIT headquarters addressed to all CITs working under the CCIT Mumbai, communicating the decision of the government and asking them to necessary action in the matter. Answer to this question. It is a letter format. So I will see how to write this in the letter format. Right side to the top, Office of the Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax Headquarters, dated. Left side to all the Commissioners of Income Tax Charge, CCIT Mumbai. In 2, we have to write all the Commissioners of Income Tax Charge, CCIT Mumbai. Subject: austerity measures to be adopted by field officers for curtailing expenditure. Sir, the paragraph, the body of the letter is: the government has brought out some austerity measures to curtail wasteful expenditures in offices. The austerity measures considered necessary for this purpose include the following. Point number 1. The officers, unless absolutely necessary, should fly in the economic class while flying for official work. Point number 2. The expenses under the head office expenses should be reduced by 10% of expenditure incurred during the preceding financial year. Point number 3. Suitable limit may be adopted for expenditure on fuel used in government vehicles. The austerity measures adopted by government should be adopted immediately. The savings to be effected in the budget already sanctioned may kindly be initiated to this office within 15 days of receipt of this letter. Thanking you. In the right side, yours faithfully, signed. Below that, DCIT headquarters. Below that, CCIT Mumbai. Question number 3. You have been requisitioned for a search operation. On the day of search, you have been asked to go to a bank and inquire about the lockers or bank accounts of the assessees, viz. Hardeep Khanna, Dimpy Khanna, Harsh Khanna and Sonali Khanna. Draft a letter on behalf of your ADIT investigation addressed to the bank manager, requesting him to provide the aforesaid information under Section 131 of the Income Tax Act. Answer: in the right side above, Office of the ADIT investigation, dated. Left side to the left, to the manager, ex-bank. Subject: notice under Section 131(2) of the Income Tax Act 1961, furnishing of information regarding certain lockers. Sir, during the course of search operation being carried out at the premises of Hardeep Khanna, I have come across bank accounts / bank lockers being maintained by Sri Khanna and family members. The persons in whose names the bank accounts / lockers are being maintained or as under 1. Shri Hardeep Khanna, 2. Srimati Dimpi Khanna, 3. Shri Harsh Khanna, 4. Miss Sonali Khanna. You are requested to supply the following information about the bank lockers or and accounts of above named persons to Shri Blank Inspector, the bearer of this notice. Point number 1. The number and locker key numbers of lockers held by above named persons along with the date, last operation of bank locker. Point number 2. The particulars of bank accounts maintained by them with your bank. Thanking you, yours faithfully, signed ADIT Investigation. Question number 4. You have been asked to supervise the work of data entry for processing of income tax returns. You have noticed that the data entry operator, DEO, is not doing his job properly and therefore needs to be changed. Please draft a letter on behalf of the assessing officer addressed to the CIT for replacement of the DEO and for providing a replacement thereof. Also request the CIT for administrative approval for engaging an additional DEO for 3 months considering the job requirements. Answer: to the right, Office of the Assessing Officer, dated. Left, to the Commissioner of Income Tax. Subject: need for replacement of existing data entry operator regarding. Sir, I have been recently posted in the unit to supervise the work of data entry for processing of income tax returns. In the first week of my joining duty here, I have noticed that the data entry operator, DEO, posted here is not doing his job properly and remains busy in gossiping with his colleagues rather than concentrating on his job. This DEO may kindly be posted elsewhere immediately and an efficient DEO posted in his place. Considering the job requirements and streamlining the work approval for engaging an additional DEO for 3 months may also be given. Thanking you, yours faithfully, signed Assessing Officer. Question number 5. Cash of rupees 1 crore 90 lakhs has been found during the course of survey under section 133A along with number of incriminating documents. This cash is found to be a prima facie unaccounted. The authorized officer, AO, wants to bring the situation to the knowledge of his CIT and wants the survey to be converted into a search operation so that the cash can be seized. The situation at the premises is tense and additional manpower would also be required. Please draft a letter on behalf of the AO addressed to the CIT communicating the aforesaid. Answer: to the right, Office of the Authorized Officer, dated. Left, to the Commissioner of Income Tax. Subject: permission to convert survey into search operation regarding. Sir, it is brought to your kind notice that during the course of survey under section 133A of the Income Tax Act 1961 conducted today on the date in the premises of Messrs. Blank, I have found a cash of rupees 1 crore 90 lakhs along with a number of incriminating documents. Prima facie, this cash has not been accounted for in the books of account. I want this survey to be converted into a search operation so that cash is seized and further inquiry is carried on. Necessary orders in this regard may kindly be communicated immediately. Further, the situation in the premises is tense. With view to manage the situation here, additional manpower may also be sent. Kindly treat it urgent. Thanking you, yours faithfully, signed, Authorized Officer. This is the question for paper 1 in the year of 2009. Thank you.